Now let me first ask you, how many of you do not smoke? Raise your hands. Do not. How many of you are smokers? Raise your hands. Now, if you hold your hands up high and look in the mirror, you'll see your own executioner. You are really signing your own death warrant. There is no bigger black plague that has ever descended upon the world than this horrible tobacco addiction. There is nothing that causes more death, more sorrow, more internal and physical suffering than this horrible socially approved perversion known as smoking, which supports advertising, which supports television, and which destroys you. Now, it may interest you to learn that right out of Life magazine this week, I picked out an ad from the State Mutual Insurance Company of America, which says the following: if you haven't smoked a cigarette in a year, you'll pay less for new life insurance with State Mutual. The life insurance companies are now recognizing that if you are not a smoker, that they can afford to give you lower rates because your chances of living are much greater than those who are smokers. Now, if the life insurance companies are ready to back this up with money now, and here's what they say here. It says, when the Surgeon General's report was released, State Mutual studied it with great care, and we came to this conclusion. The non-cigarette smoker, in our opinion, is a better life insurance risk. He's entitled to a better rate, so we've given it to him. And this new lower rate is on our popular preferred protector plan for both men and women. You're eligible if you haven't smoked a cigarette in a year. Now, isn't that interesting? Now, I want you to think for a moment about the most complicated machine that you can think of. The most complicated piece of mechanism you can think of. Perhaps a jet plane. Now, what would you think if you see a mechanic who goes over to the jet plane, picks up the hood, and throws in a bunch of slop into the pistons? You'd have him arrested and put into a booby hatch. Now, before you think he's a little too crazy, I want you to think of the mechanism of a worm. Now, the worm, compared to the jet plane, makes the jet plane nothing. Nothing. The mechanism of the worm is so much more complicated than the jet plane. Now, compare the worm to a dog. The worm becomes a nothing compared to the dog. Now, compare the dog to the human being, and the dog becomes nothing. Now, that's just what you're doing, though. You're taking this fantastic, complicated mechanism, and you're spilling a bunch of slop into it. Now, if the jet plane with all the slop in it should suddenly crash, you wouldn't be surprised. Say, why not? Look what he did to it. So if the human body crashes when you throw all the slop in it, why are you so surprised? Isn't that an amazing thing about human beings? They think that the human face was designed to be a chimney. And the human head, just as the jet plane was never designed to be a garbage carrier, the human head was never designed to be a chimney. If you were designed to have a chimney, you'd go around with a little flue on top, and you could have a brush you could stick in and regularly clean out the flue. Now, this may surprise you to learn that all of you who are smokers are junkies. So, hello to all you junkies, because that's exactly what you are. A dope fiend, you see, is someone that you've always thought of as a junkie. Oh, poor dope fiend. Oh, how horrible, a dope fiend. Actually, the dope fiend is no more of a fiend than the tobacco fiend. What is the difference? One is socially approved and one is socially disapproved. But the addiction is just as strong. Now, actually, you know, this talk is a waste of time for those of you who are already smokers. It won't do you a damn bit of good. This talk is for those who are not smokers. Surprises you, doesn't it? You think I'm trying to get the smokers now. Wrong. Because you are junkies. You're lost. If I were to fill up this room with dope fiends and give them an inspiring talk on dope, they'd say, oh, he's so right, he's so right. And while they say it, they'll take a shot in the arm. So it really isn't going to help those of you who are already smokers. I'm talking to those of you who have not yet started. You know, if you want to have an interesting experience, find out an interesting thing, you speak to anybody who's a smoker and ask them this question. Say, tell me, can you give up smoking? Their answer is, I can give it up any time I want to. Then say, why don't you? I don't want to. And they really believe that they can give it up any time they want to. The truth of the matter is, they cannot give it up at all because they are gripped by the throat by this terrible addiction. Just as dope grips you so that you are powerless to give it up by yourself, in general. This is the same thing as true of tobacco. It is one of the most difficult things in the world to cure that I have ever seen. Now, test yourself, and you'll see. Every time you smoke a cigarette, ladies and gentlemen, you put a nail in your coffin. A real nail in the coffin. You light a cigar, you put in a plank. Actually, the cigars, it is found, or pipes, do not hurt you as much. And of course, very simple reason. You don't inhale it. A cigarette smoker inhales the smoke into his body. It goes through his nose. It goes through his sinuses. It goes through his lungs. And it comes out God knows where. But he takes it inside. Now, if I were to start a fire in this room, now you know that the walls here will all turn black. If I start the fire outside or put it through a chimney, you're not going to get it here at all. Now, those who smoke a pipe or smoke a cigar don't hurt themselves very much. They asphyxiate everybody else around them. But they don't harm themselves too much. Do you know that smoking was once punishable by death? There were societies that would punish it by death. Beheading in Russia, if you were a smoker. Actually, while smoking was once punishable by death, now you are rewarded by death. Now, let me just, before I go into the serious things of the effects of smoking, I want to talk about a few non-serious things. If those of you think, well, it's never going to happen to me. Who's going to die from it? Not me. Not me. She will. He will. They will. They'll all drop dead. But not me. I'll puff my way merrily through life. Of course, you've made your pact with death. He exempts you. You're exempt. Now, before I go into that, let me tell you that if you say, well, I'm not, listen, I'll take my chances of getting cancer. Now, cancer is not what I'm going to talk about. If you are a smoker, there are certain charming little things you're going to get, even if you don't get cancer. One, for example, you are sure to get. If you are sure to get, if you smoke long enough, will be what is known clinically as a smoker's cough. There is a cough, which is called smoker's cough. It happens to be an incurable cough, which will affect all those who smoke for a long period of time. My father has been smoking since he must have been 14. And there we go. Here we are. We got all the smoker's coughs. Come here. My father smoked from the time he was 14. Now, when he has a hacking smoker's cough. Constantly. Constantly. How my mother hasn't shot him years ago, I'll never understand. But when he would take me to the movies as a child, and I'd say, well, I want to go out and buy some candy. He said, shall I wait in the back for you? I said, no. You take any seat. I'll find you. And I never even had to look for him. Because I'd come out, just stand there for 1 minute. Suddenly I'd hear, oh, there he is, right there. There he is. That's one sure little reward you're going to get if you continue or ever start this disgusting addiction.